Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Sunday afternoon. The USC commitment sweatshirt comes back on. Four-star edge rusher Shaun Scott committing to USC. Now, the USC fans who've been rocking with the fellas the last couple of weeks know that we've talked a lot about this kid over the last couple of months. And, quite frankly, was one of the more fascinating targets for myself in terms of where USC was looking to go in this 2026 cycle. You look at Shaun Scott, there are not many players in this 2026 cycle that are as impressive rushing the passer than Shaun Scott. And that's really the value that I see him bringing to USC over the next couple of years. You can talk about the different ways they're going to use Shaun Scott because there's a lot of versatility to this kid as a front seven defender. Bar none, the biggest impact that he's going to have for USC over the next couple of years is what he can do coming off the edge and affecting the quarterback. This has been a skill set, a position that Chad Bowden has coveted in this 2026 cycle. I mean, you look at obviously the quarterback is probably the most important player on the football field. What are the next couple of positions that USC is really going after in 2026? They're going after the guys that protect the quarterback. Guys like Kenny Pepe got 5 offensive linemen committed in the 2026 cycle. They're also going after the guys that get after the quarterback. And a guy like Shaun Scott, he might not be a guy that plays 60 snaps for USC every single game. He might just be a pass rush specialist for this USC program over the next couple of years. But I'll tell you this, that is, I think, exactly what Chad Bowden is looking for with a guy like Shaun Scott. When you have a guy that you can trot onto the football field in those third and long, obvious passing situations and tell him to pin his ears back, get after the quarterback, and he can do it at a high level, it takes so much pressure off the defensive coordinator. We talked a lot about this from the 2024 year. There was a lot of pressure at times put on D'Anton Lynn because USC struggled to get after the quarterback with their front four. They only sacked the quarterback 4% of dropbacks last year. That was 117th in the country. D'Anton Lynn had to get a little creative in terms of blitzing off-ball linebackers or blitzing safeties to manufacture pressure on the quarterback. With a guy like Shaun Scott, you don't have to worry about scheming up the blitzes because Shaun Scott can really make it happen coming off the edge. He's not a guy that is dripping with physical traits. He's not going to be a guy that walks into a room and make a jaw drop. But man, does this kid know what he's doing when it comes to getting after the passer. You turn on that junior year film, you see chops, you see some burst and bend, you see some spins, you see some swim moves, you see some speed to power. The pass rush toolkit for this kid going into his senior year of high school is about as, I would say, advanced as anybody across the country. My player comp here, and this is kind of an interesting one, David Bailey. Reminds me a lot about David Bailey coming out of Mater Dei in that 2022 cycle where David Bailey wasn't the most developed edge rusher physically coming out of Mater Dei, but man, was he damn good at doing it, and he knew what he was doing. And that's kind of what he's been for Stanford over the last couple of years. There's a reason he got upwards of $2 million to go to Texas Tech because his skill set, purely rushing the passer, is worth that kind of money. You're kind of hoping Shaun Scott can be that kind of guy for USC over the next couple of years. Fired up to get into a little bit of the junior year stuff. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to the USC fans. Many of y'all know it's been a blast breaking down these commitments and talking about how USC is going about their business, building this 2026 cycle. I can't thank you guys enough for rocking with it, especially on a Sunday afternoon. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We're going to have a lot to talk about over the next couple of days and weeks for this USC team as it pertains to the recruiting trail. Without further ado, let's get into Shaun Scott. I think another thing I probably should have mentioned off the top, and here's what's important about this. Did y'all notice that we just went 4 minutes and 30 seconds and we didn't really mention that Mater Dei USC pipeline? Like in my opinion, that's how it should be, where we shouldn't be all that surprised when USC is grabbing some of the top talent from Mater Dei. 12 months ago, when USC lands a Mater Dei commitment, we're throwing a gosh darn party because it didn't happen very often since Lincoln Riley's gotten here. Now all of a sudden we're talking about a Mater Dei commitment. It's like, yeah, that's the expectation. Like USC should be getting most of this top talent coming from Mater Dei. Does this help you with guys like Cody Green, flipping him from Washington? Does it help you with landing the commitment of Mark Bowman? I'll tell you this, it certainly cannot hurt. This USC staff has been all over Mater Dei for the last couple of months. I think as many commitments as you can land from this program is going to help you with some of the top talent at this high school. Fired up to get into a little bit of the film here because it is really fun. Number one, really smart kid. And you can tell he's a smart kid because the development in terms of how polished he is as a pass rusher, it's certainly there. But then you just see like understanding what's going on, reading throwback, body control. Like dude's he's a playmaker. He's a good athlete. And another thing you'll notice, I feel like he just finds the football a lot. I mean, this stuff don't happen by accident. He's just all over it, making some of these plays, getting tips. Now, here's what excites me the most is the versatility that he's probably bringing to USC, where he's playing off-ball linebacker here. Now, I don't think that this will be his position for USC over the next couple of years, but it's nice to know that he can do that. There's not a lot of edge rushers that you trust to drop back into the flat, read the quarterback's eyes, and be a presence in coverage. Shaun Scott can do that. I mean, this is a guy that can play off-ball linebacker and do some of this stuff if you want him to. This is how it's supposed to look. But this is where he's going to make his money. I mean, coming off the edge, being a pure pass rusher, because this is where he's at his best. I mean, just a nasty swim move right here. I'm telling you, this kid, in terms of the development that you've seen from him, in terms of how the toolkit of pass rush moves that he's bringing to the table. I mean, you see a little burst and bend here. They try to trip with the running back. You had to believe Nasir Wyatt and Shaun Scott coming off the edge from Mater Dei in 2024. It's such a hard duo to deal with in terms of the burst and bend that they have. You see a little bit of speed to power here. You see the motor as well. This is a guy that just has a nose for getting to the quarterback. Little stunt right here, finding the quarterback once again. A lot of different things you can do with Shaun Scott in terms of getting after the quarterback. And this, I believe it is Douglas Utu right here. And we're just going to go long arm, speed to power, collapse the pocket, go find the quarterback. That's going to be a good offensive lineman for the Oregon Ducks. And Shaun Scott goes to work. That's kind of what you like to see. Once again, this is probably like that wide nine, letting him operate with a little bit more space. Probably the best way to use a guy like Shaun Scott. And he's hard to deal with in terms of the different moves that he brings to the table as a pass rusher. Now, you go to USC's class in 2026, man, kind of like what we talked about. Like, where's all the red right now? You got 4 interior defensive linemen committed, including probably my favorite name in the 2026 class in Tom. That's 6 offensive linemen committed. I'm losing count. I don't think there's a team that has 3 offensive linemen committed in this 2026 cycle. USC has 6 of them. Now you got 4 edge rushers coming in as well, all kind of different types. You look at Brandon Jones or a guy like Samote, kind of heavy-handed, longer guys, and then Shaun Scott, kind of just a Ferrari coming off the edge. We're going to have a lot to follow over the next couple of weeks. If I were to kind of just for fun put together my wish list here, I got 3 names for you. Talona Illy at off-ball linebacker. He's probably priority number 1. Now, why is he priority number 1 over some of these other names that you don't see highlighted? If you can stack Xavier Griffin and Talona Illy as your off-ball linebackers in this 2026 cycle that are playing behind what I think can be an elite defensive line over the next couple of years, that's how you get to a dominant defense. We talk about this all the time. Look at the past national championship caliber defenses. I think Georgia put together the blueprint in the early 2020s. Elite defensive line with absolute playmakers at the linebacker position. When you have a defensive line that's winning at the line of scrimmage, then you have 2 juiced up backers in Talona Illy and Xavier Griffin, like flying around the football field. That's the recipe. I think that's what Chad Bowden is trying to bring to USC. So Talona Illy, you can put him with this front 7 unit. to me, by far the best front seven class USC has signed since I've started following the sport pretty closely on the recruiting trail. Now, maybe Pete Carroll had some classes back in the day. The next name to me is probably Mark Bowman. I don't think we see many tight end prospects like Mark Bowman. And again, you're going to battle with Georgia, you're going to battle with Texas. Ideally, Shaun Scott, Mater Dei connection, helps him stay home. Now, you lost a wide receiver commitment. I don't think that's all that surprising because you had 5 of them. Cohen Brown ends up decommitting. I think that's because USC wants to go after a dude, whether that's Vance or whether that's a guy like Madden Williams. I think you're going to see USC turn up the heat on one of those wide receivers. And it's not like I'm happy that Cohen Brown decommitted from USC, but I think there's a reason that we saw that decommitment. And of course, wouldn't mind grabbing another blue chip tackle, whether that's Sam Mutu, whether that's Malachi Lee. A lot to talk about over the next couple of days and weeks. We'll cut it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.